All right, today in class we went over our DBQ. Again, we're still working on that, and we went over document B. Document B is broken off into two sections. We have document B1 and document B2. Document B1 is the chart at the top, and document B2 is the, it's the timeline at the bottom. And question number 1 says, according to these documents, identify 2 specific reasons why large numbers of Jewish immigrants moved to the Palestinian-Israeli region between 1920 and 1970. So what I had the kids do today in class was look at where we saw the largest influx or migration of Jewish people to the Palestine-Israeli area, and that area that occurred here. We received the largest numbers, and so we took a look at those dates specifically to figure out our answer. And we can see that in 1947, Palestine is going to be partitioned. We know that it's partitioned by the UN, and that's going to separate an Arab Palestinian and a Jewish Palestinian area. And then we know in 1948, Israel becomes a state. So that's obviously going to cause a lot of people to move into the area. And another reason is in 1950, the law of return is passed. This is where Jews sent out a declaration saying that if you were a Jewish, of Jewish birth, then you could come and move to Israel. And so that's what's happening. And so and we know that during this time period, we had World War II, and the Jews were going to be persecuted, and that we had the Holocaust happen, the UN partition. Then I also put the law of return, and I didn't put the creation of Israel just because that's going to be the answer to number 2. Using both of these visuals, why do we think so many Jews came in between 1947 and 1949? Well, obviously that's going to be because of the creation of Israel, and then a little bit later it'll be the law of return, but that's outside of our range of dates. And then as the Jewish population in the area grew, what can you infer? Infer means to project. What can you think? What do you think might happen? So what do you think the Palestinians' reaction to this sudden increase of Jews into this area between 1919 and 1970? I mean, I said that I thought that the Palestinians would become angry because the Jews are infringing upon their land and they're taking over, and more of them coming. And so that's leaving less and less space for the Palestinians. And I think that's a fair inference for this particular visuals. I mean, look, we can see that just in 1949 alone, we have over 240,000 people coming to Israel or Palestinian Israel area, and that's a lot of people just within a year. And then number 4, how do these visuals relate to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Well, we know that the conflict itself is over land, and if we have an influx of them coming to the land, that's obviously going to cause tension and conflict and issues. So these visuals show us that there's an influx during specific times, and obviously this is going to cause some disagreements and issues, and especially because the Europeans are making decisions without consulting those that are specifically involved. And we can see that right here in 1920 when Britain accepts the mandate for Palestine. It doesn't say anything about Palestine and Britain conferring together to make this particular mandate. And then we have the Palestine as partition. Again, we don't see any input from anybody besides the European nations that are making the United Nations that are making those kind of decisions. And so that's definitely going to cause some issues there. All right, guys, that is document B1 and 2.